I've learned is that true freedom really comes from discipline. So in the temple, it's all about discipline. So in the summer, we wake up at 4 o'clock to get ready for our morning session. And in the winter time, when the weather gets a bit cold, we wake up at 4:30 to get ready for the morning session. So it's about 4:45 and we are going to start our morning session. And so this is where we hold our morning session. There's the morning practice and the afternoon practice, and we sleep quite early at night so we can wake up really early in the morning. So at the beginning, it also took me a little while to get used to it, but once you get used to it, you felt so great. It is really great to live a disciplined life. You realize how much time you actually save by waking up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning than waking up at 7 or 8. Yes, so I'm so tremendously grateful for this experience. So the Dharma practice is also a lot about discipline. Especially for us beginners, we are on this path, we need to be even more disciplined on ourselves. It's about discipline in our mind, discipline in our speech, discipline in our conduct. If we can really cultivate discipline in our mind, in our conduct, in our speech, then we should not have any afflictions within. The reason we have afflictions is because we are not disciplined. We are not disciplined in our mind. We are not disciplined with our thoughts, with what we are thinking. We are not disciplined in our conduct, in our speech. That is why true freedom actually comes from discipline. If we want to have freedom, have the ultimate freedom, we need to be super disciplined in ourselves. It's all about self-mastering, and I'm still working hard on this. It's easier to be disciplined when you live in a group environment, when everybody is so disciplined and so diligent, and it helps you to also be like that. But when you are at home, when you are sort of go back to your normal family life, then it becomes a bit more challenging. And sometimes the master is very strict. He will scold at you, and don't take anything personally. This is really called a fierce compassion. Don't think about compassion. It's just being nice, saying nice words to you. Real compassion, sometimes there is also fierce compassion, because we have so many bad habits, bad attachments, bad tendency behaviors carried from past life. This habitual force of we do things we know that are not good for us and all this. So sometimes we really need to be scolded at. And this is what Master did on me as well a few times. I remember it very clearly. But now I'm really so grateful for him to do that, because if no one scolded us, then we might think whatever we do is fine. We think we are right all the time. This is really dangerous, because sometimes we can't really see our behavior so clearly. That is why it's so important to have a teacher, to have a good teacher to guide you, to point you out that you actually made a mistake. And sometimes because we are so stubborn, we don't even know, or we don't want to admit our mistakes. So the master will really be like, have this fierce compassion on you, so you really have no way to hide. And I'm really tremendously grateful. And I can't stress the importance of having a great teacher to guide you on the path. If you don't have a great teacher, it's really easy for us to be lost in this path, because it's really not easy. The path to awakening is not easy, and it's easy for us to be lost. And if we don't know the direction is always inward. It's not outward. It's not about changing anything externally. It's all about changing within us. It's not about trying to control anything outside. It's all about trying to control our own thoughts, our own conduct, and our own behaviors. It's not about correcting anybody else's behavior. It's about correcting our own behaviors. I'm so grateful for Master Renshan, and I felt I have learned really the most by staying in the temple for the past 1 year than all these past years of searching, and also what I've learned in the school. The school in our education system, we taught so much about knowledge, about what's outside of us, but we've never really been told about ourselves, how to be a good human. What are the ethics and conduct that we should apply as a good human? Like all this, we are not taught. I feel these are really, really important lessons, important education that we've missed in today's world, in today's society. So I felt like what I've not learned in the normal schools, I got to learn in the temple, to learn about how to be disciplined in our mind, in our speech, in our conduct. We really should follow ethical conduct like the 5 precepts, the 10 good deeds in Buddhism, to ensure us not to create bad karma, so we can be a better human being to this world. Also, the practice is not about looking at the fault of others. This is really important. Sometimes when we practice Dharma or we practice spiritual practice, we might think, oh, I'm so awakened. Instead of looking at our own behaviors, we might have the tendency to judge others about what they should or they should not do. But really, the practice is about looking inward. It's about looking within ourselves. It's about reflecting on our own thoughts, conduct, and behaviors, about whether we have really acted rightly, instead of judging at others and what others might have done wrong. We should always look at ourselves first, always reflect on ourselves first. So it is not about looking the fault in others. It's all about reflecting the fault on ourselves. When we judge others about something, it's perhaps likely that we have this in us. So if one wants peace of mind, then don't look at the fault in others. Because when you look at the fault in others, what it does is really takes away our own peace and happiness in the present. And if we want to improve on our journey, then it's all about reflecting on our own mistakes, on our own words, on our own thoughts and own conducts. So it's not about looking at the fault in others. So yes, these are some of the valuable lessons I learned at the temple, and there are just so many lessons I've learned. And again, I'm still a beginner on this path, and there is so much I need to learn on this. And also the study is never end, it's endless. This is just the beginning of the journey. And also every day I listen to Dharma talk by Master Renshan. Even though now I've left the temple for a little while to stay with my grandparents, because I really hope I could help my grandparents to gain rebirth, especially my grandma, because she also has faith in Amitabha Buddha, and she now starts to practice Nianfo. So I trust that she can seek rebirth to the Pure Land successfully. So I also hope I will return to the temple soon in the near future, and to study more, to enhance my own study. And also I really like to become a nun. This I've been thinking for a while, and Master Renshan was like, so if after 2 years you still think like that, then we can consider it. It's actually not that easy to be a nun, but I feel it would be really good for my practice. I feel taking the monastic life, being a monk and nun, it's really another level of non-attachment. They have really given a lot. They really have no attachment. Okay, they have no attachment to whatsoever that we are attached in this material life. So I feel this is another step forward, and I'm also sort of preparing myself for this path. Also quickly, if you want to seek rebirth, then you don't need to become a nun or monk. I mean, you can if you like, but just for the purpose of seeking rebirth, you don't need to take the monastic life. But for me, I feel this is more for my own advancement on the spiritual life in this life. Namo Amituofo, Buddha.
Namo